cooking? It is, but it looks really funny. It's cooking. All right, go with it. Okay, so we're going to quickly add a alert box thing. So we have this thing in Android called Alert Builder that will help us build an alert, and then you set the positive and negative thing for it. So Alert Builder takes into context. We've worked with context before. So we can create this guy. Then we have like a set positive thing, and it's got a on click listener, dealy flippy. So we can set the message. We can set the title. Then we set here's the set negative button. Now I think the negative button by default just dismisses it. So we'll set the positive. So we can have a negative, a neutral, and a positive button. So set on positive. Oh, I can't give that guy a char. Oh, I can. Set positive button char sequence. So we're going to use this one where we tell it, yes, I'm confirming. And then we're going to give it a dialog interface on click listener, pretty similar to what we did for our list view. So we're going to go into our code. We'll just do it for credit cards. So we'll do edit credit card activity. And here's our on delete button. So before we just do this stuff, we're going to create, what's it called? Android Dialog Builder, Alert Dialog Builder. So we're going to say alert dialog dot builder. All right, so I have my, what does that go? Oh, it takes the context. So I need to give them this. All right, so then we can say dialog dot set, what's the set message? Set message, and we'll say, are you sure? And dialog, I think is the set title. Warning, something like that. And then we'll say dialog dot set, what is it? Set positive button, this guy. Okay, so this guy's going to take in a, I'll just say yes. And then we're going to say new on click listener, like that. So then on click, we will do this crap. That's what happens when we, oh, this is that same problem before. Inside of here, this is an instance of on click listener. So I'm going to need to give myself a pointer to my edit credit card activity. So we'll say private edit credit card activity. We'll just call this guy myself. And then inside here we'll say this dot myself is equal to this. So we can say myself dot finish. So that's what we do on the positive button. Now I think that the negative button will show up by default. So we'll test this real quick. So let me say dialog dot is it show? Yeah, dialog dot show. All right, so let's test this real quick. I'll explain what that's all doing. All right, so let me add a credit card here real quick. All right, I'll click delete, saying, are you sure? I have to hit yes for it to actually happen. It did not give me an alternative, so I'll exit out of this right now. So I'll go ahead and set the alternative. So I'll say dialog dot set negative button. And this guy is going to be, I'll put a no there. And then I'm going to pass it a null. I think it'll let me get away with that. I don't want to act on the them clicking the no button. So I think me's just setting the listener to null for no will just make the thing disappear. If not, I'll have to set it. We'll burn that bridge here in a second. Click on this, hit delete. There's my yes, no. I'll hit no, makes it go away. But if I hit delete and I hit yes, it does it, and now it's gone. That make sense? So pretty similar stuff to what we've already done. It is kind of weird that they don't have a constructor to kind of do it all at once. You have to kind of piece it together. So, and it used to be a lot worse. That's why this alert dialog builder thing exists. Because it's actually implemented using something called a fragment to show a dialog window in front of your running activity. That's why we launch it from the current thing. So this line right here says, give me a brand new dialog. Set the message of that dialog to are you sure? Set the title to warning. Now I can have 3 buttons. I can have a positive button, I can have a neutral button, I can have a negative button. So set my positive button for the text to be yes, and then I can make a new dialog interface on click listener, and here's the on click function for it. No different than the on click stuff we've written before, right? And what do I do if I said yes? I do the same thing I did before. Delete it, finish. Then I set the negative button. I don't actually want to do anything when the negative button's hit, so the thing to do there is you just set the text to whatever you want, but you set the listener to null. Just says, look, if they click this, just make the dialog go away. I don't want to respond to that listener, them actually clicking it. Now, maybe you did. Maybe you wanted something to happen when they said the negative button or something like that. Then you could have said you wanted a new dialog on click listener and done the same thing as you did up there with the on click. If you really want to throw them for a, we could say dialog.set neutral button. And just put a huh and say null there. So I just have this like weird button in there. Kind of like Google has like, do you feel lucky button on Google, or just searches for whatever.
I love that button.
So I'll hit delete. There's my no and yes, and then this like huh over here, this random thing. So basically, no and huh do nothing right now, but if I hit yes, it'll delete it and go away. Make sense how that guy works? So I'll go ahead and commit that so you have that in my code. What's this?
No, it's just funny.
You don't, you're impressed by the huh button?
Yeah.
See, now she's just sucking up because I'm still angry about the tears.
I want a hot button. In life? Yes.
You should link the huh button to like something random on the internet. Just
So like open the YouTube video.
Yeah.
Go to that one.
or a picture of you with the hard hat on.
Loads up some like My Little Pony like fan fiction. All right. So are we cool with that? How our dialogues? So you can put that anywhere you want if you want to confirm stuff. There's some other ways to do dialogues as well, but this is the current cool kid. Well, I would say this is the current cool kid way of doing it. This is the coolest kid that I've done before. You might be able to search and find there might be some third-party libraries for doing kind of fancier looking dialogues or something like that, but I don't focus very much on interface because basically all my interfaces look perfect. So it's,
Your interfaces.
yeah, pretty good.
What if it was like if you click the huh button, then go, you know how like sometimes when it errors.
All right, so let's find a list of
Oh yeah.
all the airports. The The airports of the world. List of all airports in the world. Airportlist.com.
Wow. That looks legit.
Let's see, what do I get out of this guy?
Can we just start with the United States?
Huh?
Are we just going to start with the United States?
No.
Oh, I jabbed you up. Or, excuse me.
I jabbed you.
Sorry, we used
I
jab
put
for-
something in that copy. In that copy.
Just you wait. In Slack, there's I put a message in Slack, CSV of all U.S. airports. We could use that.
Oh, so I don't get the screen scrape? But this is all U.S. airports.
But
I want all airports.
this is better.
Yeah, but that what you gave me won't make me screen scrape.
Yeah.
He knows what's up.
I need to let you guys screen scrape. I need to teach you how to screen scrape so that you can do the hard part of the assignment.
I will always want to learn how to do it.
List of all airports out here.
Oh, this is like the app that you wrote. You showed us the first class. The little screen scraper.
Yeah, exactly.
Dom manipulator.
So let's see. Is there like a master list somewhere? All airports in Algeria? I have to like dig down until I get to that? This is dumb. Hold on. It's Wikipedia list of airports, Wikipedia. We might be starting with U.S. airports. We're going to give another 3 minutes of looking for awesomeness. World airport codes. This looks possibly promising. We might be solving a real problem here, where now we can actually have a site that has the list of all the airports.
We can sell it.
Yes, we can.
That's what's up.
I don't want the top airports. I want all the airports. Every single one of them.
Guess we should visit.
So look at that. Busiest airport is Atlanta. Oh, hold on. Here's a data set. All airport codes.
Yeah, that's the one I sent you, that link.
This is just U.S.?
I don't know. Maybe I lied about that. Let me look. I got the spreadsheet right here. It's a CSV. So, I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's got U.S. No, it's hang on. 1 second.
Holy cow, that's a huge XML. I mean,
CSV.
XML.
CSV. Filter. Oh no, this has all countries in it, definitely.
Okay.
What's
We
coun-
do.
What's country code ZZ?
Well, it's like, is New Zealand or something?
Maybe. Never guess what US is.
It's probably not U.S., is it?
I think it's US. Be pretty amazing if it wasn't.
Man, that's a huge file.
It's 8 megs.
Do I have to download it?
Hmm?
Do I have to download it?
I don't know.
Here's, I mean, Wikipedia has the list of all the airports in the United States. So yeah, he was on that one.
Oh, this one's a good data set. This is good stuff.
All right, hold on. So we have,
Not that one.
there's the name. Do we have the code for the airport?
Yeah, they've got a GPS code.
No, no. I want to like Milwaukee is MKE.
Yep, let's see here. Let's just search. Yeah, they do.
Which category? Oh, there.
It's column O, whatever O is.
It's column O.
Whatever column M, N, and O are at the top of your sheets.
Well, I have that there.
So hang on a second. I control. Oh, that doesn't work. M, N, and O are local code. Yeah, they have the IATA.
Oh, there it is.
code.
It's N.
Yeah, N is the one. IATA code.
All right, so we want the ones that have M in them. All right. What's up?
You tried airportslist.com?
Did that give me something that looks like this?
This one? You can list it up.
You had to put too many.
Like, I want to just have one major list of everything. All right. So, we're going to go ahead and put this on the internet. Well, it's already on the internet, actually, right? So here is our link. This guy right here. So this link right here, this rairports.com/data/airportscsv, that's the guy I'm going to get. So I'm going to copy that link address. I'll go ahead and, is that what you pasted in Slack? That exact link address I just copied? All right, so that's the guy we're going to use. You don't have to download it because we're going to have our app grab that URL to kind of show us the starting point of screen scraping. Okay, so we're going to say Java. Let's see.
Use that link. I don't get. Where are you getting that URL?
What?
I don't go to that page when I use that link that's posted in Slack.
Oh, that I
There's
forgot.
another thing you have to.
There's a
type
one
in
in nested. I didn't get the CSV. I just got the page that has the CSV link on it.
Can you go back to your other thing really
No.
fast?
You can just plop it in there.
There's the file. All right, Java, download. Let me get. All right, so we're going to do this with a buffered reader and a URL. All right, so I'm going to say so we're going to create a instance of URL where we can give it a string of the URL. So let's just start by doing this out in our main just to prove we can get the data. Then we'll start moving stuff around once we have it. All right. So I'm going to go into our main activity. And inside of onCreate, at the very top here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a URL called airport URL. This is going to be a new URL, and I'm going to give it the URL. All right. Now this guy's telling me that there could be an exception. Something bad can happen when I try to create a URL. So I'm going to throw this all inside of a try and catch. I'll explain that here in a second. So whenever something bad can happen, we can try to do that bad stuff and then optionally catch specific exceptions, or what I've done right here is I'm just saying anything that happens bad, catch it, and just say, you know, right now I'm not doing anything, but I can just do like a system.out.println. We'll do that for Annie, blah, blah, huh? Ruh.
I knew that was a ruh-ruh.
All right. So if something bad happens, I'm just going to print out this. So I'm not really handling it other than just doing something stupid. But they're going to make me say I'm going to try to do this and something bad can happen. So I'm going to create a URL for this guy right here. I'm then, some of the examples use buffered readers and stuff. So I'm going to say I'm going to create something called a scanner. We'll call this guy input. And be a new scanner, airport URL dot get. What's it called? Get input stream. Doesn't this let me get the stream? Open stream. All right, so this will open the stream to that URL. And then I'll do something like while input dot has next. So while there's more crap in there, I'll do system dot out dot println. I'll do my little asterisk stuff there, concatenated with input dot next. That'll give me the next string. So I'll just spit it all out to the logcat. All right, so let me clear this guy out. Let's run this real quick. I wonder how big that file is. How long is it going to take to?
Couple days.
How does it chunk it? Is there a set chunk size it'll use?
It might actually time out on it right from the get-go. So let me actually do this real quick. Nope. Looks like it's going to work.
Why did you put that done thing there?
To know when it got to this line, because right now this blocks. So what it's sitting on right now is this guy right here, open stream. So it's
That's gonna take a long time.
Yeah, it's going to take however long it takes to somebody look at this guy. What's his?
8 megs.
8 megs. It shouldn't take that long on our internet. If it ends up being too big of a deal, we'll just bring it in as a local file. Actually, before we do any more here, why don't we do like a small website, google.com or something. Just make sure it's grabbing stuff correctly. Yeah, see, that's that open stream thing. It's not doing what I want it to do. No, because it's still, I mean, it's just going to open up whatever's there.
But that's...
Are you saying, is it because it's a binary file?
Because it, yeah, because it's like it's...
Possibly.
Matter, or?
Possibly.
The way the internet works is you send a message, it responds back. So you'll send it and it'll say, I'm about to send you a CSV file.
Well, let's get the Google thing here working. So this is going to be an input stream.
Right, but can you scan that type of file that it's sending back?
I don't know. It depends on how the Java class is designed.
Yeah.
It says
Stream is equal to new.
It says boom, and it responds back. It says mime type, which is like you're about to get a file, and then you go, okay. Anyways,
You're gonna get it.
You're gonna, yeah, look out. That's the way it works. It's like ping pong. You hit the ball back. You hit the ball back and forth until you're done. So.
Speaking of that, you said you found a paddle?
Yeah, I didn't get it. It sure can. So,
All right, give me a second here.
What? It's in the barn.
We can use an HTTP URL connection.
yeah.
Joss. The goats love ping pong. Mr. Gonzalez can ride the goats. Oh, I can definitely. All three of you can freestyle.
All right, so this guy is an HTTP URL connection when we open that up. And then we can get the input stream from that. Okay. Open connection, and then we can say con.getInputStream. All right, let's see if that'll work for Google here real quick. Still not giving me.
This is what it looks like. It literally says it line by line to you. It's like line, line.
At least with that, you can just control C to get out of it.
Wow, you look like really smart right now.
That's what I do when my boss walks by.
Yeah,
I'm a
just
little
all
shell
quick.
script cooking. What are you doing, Underhill? Busy.
That's so awesome.
Just staring at the matrix.
So does it not like me using scanner for this?
Yeah, you can control C in the Linux prompt and be like, alright, I think I've had enough. So,
Maybe like the best screens.
Maybe it doesn't like me using scanner. So let me not use, I'm going to not use scanner here. I'm going to use a buffered reader.
You can use Java parse using a scanner class.
Well,
Because it's a CSV file.
well, yeah, but that would be if it's a local file.
Yeah, but like, see, that's what's happening though. As soon as you click on it, it downloads it instantly. So like, is that file that it has?
I see what you're saying.
It's like, what is that file? That's a file coming in. Like, when
It
you go
should,
back-
yeah, it still should be the data of that file. Bottom line is, right now I'm not even using the CSV. I'm using Google. So this should just be giving me Google's URL for that GET request. So let me. New buffered reader con.get input stream. And
I don't have my glasses back yet though.
HTML parser, like JSON.
yeah, that's like a third-party library. I want to not use third-party libraries.
No third party. Yeah.
I should probably ask about that though.
All right, so we're going to do this as a do while then. So we'll do
is this what you're looking at, John? Something like that?
br.get, is it next string or read line? Read line.
Anyways, it's okay. What I was trying to show you is like what it does is the internet, like it literally sends over we call it a chunk of data at a time. So that's what this guy's doing. He says, okay, he's gonna read the chunks as they come until they stop counting.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So like, but what I'm saying is like, it's gonna send that CSV file all as one chunk, or is it gonna send it line by line?
It sends it like this is saying send it by 1 byte by 1 byte. So like when I run this, that's what you're seeing. It's going line.
Yeah, we might have to read it one byte at a time.
Oh.
And so that's what you do when you're talking with something from a programming language. You just start reading because that's how the HTTP protocol works.
go back to what you had originally killed at.
What are we doing?
Okay.
So
Well, let me just get it working first, then I'll.
Let's see. All right. Okay. So now
Did
it's
we have to do this for the last hackathon? Something like reading run by?
No, because I'm doing it off the internet, not a local file. We could definitely read a CSV as a local file. I want to grab it off the internet.
I'm trying to think of where I've done this before.
All right,
Is
so
that,
line equals BR.
This is reading as a local file, correct?
No, this is from the URL. Watch, I'll show you. So I'll scroll to the top. But this is a totally different construct in Java. But, so you see, you
Oh, the
contact
HTTP.
them,
Okay.
and then it says, it doesn't print it out, but basically there's like an HTTP protocol, like it'll do some like,
Oh, you know what?
say, I'm going to send you a bunch of stuff.
Let me put some asterisks in front of this. I bet you we're getting into the catch.
So then it just, we call it chunking, it just chunks it out to you.
Line by
Yeah, we are getting into the catch. All right, let's see what it's complaining about. We'll actually have to handle the error. I'll just do toString. That'll give us enough. Oh, network on main thread exception. Okay, this is actually a Android issue. So we get to learn how to do threads. So Android does not allow us to do network stuff on the standard main thread of the program. Okay, so my application is just running on a normal thread. So let's go learn how to do threads then, right? All right, so I'm going to create a new class here.
I have a question. Is the Android app going to care about the size of the file that it's receiving and putting into memory?
We'll find out.
Okay.
But the answer, I mean, it doesn't matter. We just needed to do it once. Then we're going to load it into our database. Then we don't care about it.
Yeah, because we're not putting it on the file system, right? So we're just putting it into.
I'm doing it one time. Once we read it, I'm going to store it in our database. I'm going to delete this code.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saving us the time of writing 16,000 things into the database by hand.
I wasn't sure, so that's what you're doing. You're just reading into a Java object that's living in memory and.
And then saving it. And then we'll delete this. We're just transposing it instead of having to write it ourselves. So we're going to call this guy our, let's call it our network thread, something like that. All right, and we're going to say that this guy extends thread, so he is a thread object. All right, and we do need to have something called public void run inside here because thread implements something called runnable, which requires us to have this thing called run. And then I'm going to go into main activity here, and I will steal my code that I had put here. And I'll throw it in there.
In the run?
Yep. All right, so that's what that guy does right now. So now, back in main, I'll create an instance of network thread and tell that thread to start. And when I tell a thread to start, it runs this run code. So same code we had before, except what I'll do up here is I'll write an asynchronous call. So I'm going to say I want a network thread. NT is equal to a new network thread, nt.start. So that will start a brand new thread of execution that's not on the main thread. And when I tell it to start, what does it do? It runs right into, where's my network thread? The run method, which does this crap. All right, so let's see if this works, and we don't, otherwise we might have to put a security setting into Android. All right, that looked like it worked. This is Google crap. Google web page stuff. Okay, so because of that, I want to rewrite this a little bit differently because I didn't really want to use this buffered reader thing. So let me actually do it as a scanner real quick, make sure it still works. Scanner input is equal to new scanner. And this guy is going to be built using con.getInputStream. Then we'll say while input dot has next. now. We'll print it out. Input dot next. And we should be able to dump that stuff. All right. Let me make sure that works. Then we'll try it with the CSV.
So you're thinking we won't need the buffered reader?
You shouldn't need it. I was only trying that buffered reader for thinking that was the problem, not looking at what the exception it was throwing. Scanner is a buffered reader. It wraps buffered reader so that I can do things like, is there something else in here? If yes, let me go ahead and deal with it, rather than the code I had in there before, which was saying I did as a do while loop where I would read it in. If it was something real, I would print it, then I would try to do it again over and over and over again. So scanner is just the new way of reading stuff in from any sort of input stream, whether that's the internet, whether that's from the keyboard. So if we want to do user input, we would say scanner input equals new scanner, and we would say system.in as our standard input stream, which is the keyboard. All right, so now let me update my data set here to be that CSV guy. And let's see if we get that.
Your main activity is calling that function.
Okay, and it's getting it. Oh man, look at that. So awesome.
Yeah, it's calling net.
Yeah, it's right here. I'm just creating an instance of that thread,
New network thread.
and then I'm telling the thread to start. Because new network thread is a thread. And threads must have a run method. So when I tell a thread to start, it does the magic to actually create another thread of execution on the operating system. And then what does it do? It does whatever is inside of run. That makes sense? The whole reason we had to do this inside of threads is because the Android security setting says you can't do network activity, network communication stuff on the main thread. If you're purposely doing network stuff, you have to put it on a secondary thread, which is what we did. I just grabbed all the code we were doing before, shoved it into the run method of a thread, started that thread. All right, so now we have a whole bunch of crap. What I want to do here is I'm going to put it into a giant string first, okay? Because then we're going to go and piece it out. It seemed to load pretty quick here, so it'd be a little bit inconvenient, but we'll just roll with it. So I'm going to say string. We'll call this guy data. We'll start him off as the empty string, and then we'll go ahead and we'll say we'll say data is equal to data concatenated with input dot next. So we'll build that guy up, and then in the end, we're going to just spit out whatever data is, which should be a giant string, which I should then be able to copy, but we'll see if that's the case.
Are you submitting the exception?
Yeah, still in that try catch.
Oh, you're printing out.
Now I'm just building that all the data I read into a giant string, and then I'm going to print out that string. Because ultimately, I'm going to parse that string to get my pieces of information out so I can load it into my database. So let's make sure that looks the way I want it to look. So it should take a couple of seconds, then we should get this monster string dumped to the screen.
Stuff inside of the try block is not visible. It's a context step down. It wouldn't be visible to the class or the run method. So everything inside of the try catch, the variables inside of there, they're not available outside of the try catch block, correct?
Correct. It's its own scope.
Okay. Thank you. Scope is the word I was looking for. So like when you have a try and a catch inside of a method, are you pretty much limited to doing everything inside of the try and the catch?
No, because you could define variables outside the try that are then available outside of the try,
Right.
and then use them in the try.
Right, you can't do something in the
Well, you can by defining the variable
up top.
before.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you scroll up just
No. Mm-mm. If I run out of the size of string.
I have to say, it's gonna be like
that
an 8
buffer
megabyte
reader isn't
string.
doing anything anymore, right?
Yeah.
That's just superfluous code.
Oh, yeah, this guy's not needed.
Still extremely line.
Are you using your string line for anything?
No. I'm betting that it's too big for a string. Just make sure it still looks fine. And then we're just going to make this work. Let's stop it here. Let's just see what a line looks like in here.
Could you maybe read it by a new line or a carriage return and then pump it into the DB that way?
Well, I can. I just need to see where the carriage returns are. I was going to try to split the string on carriage returns.
Yeah, that's
But I'm not, it's not loading into a string, so I'm going to have to do it.
Oh, that's what I mean, but while you're reading the connection, just assume it up front and see what it looks like. Because I'm assuming that's how a CSV is going to work. At the end, you're going to have a carriage return or a line feed, and then
Yeah. But I need all the data initially.
you can't view it while it's being streamed. So you can't encounter the carriage return in the stream, so in the while loop.
Has to be run.
Well, I might be able to.
I don't know if that's how it works. I don't know if it's reading like,
Well, it's reading just like this. I mean, every single time you see a system that out here, that's a line at red.
Okay.
So it's reading in things like this.
Yeah.
So it's not reading it all. I mean, it's
It's not
getting
reading it
it in
all.
it's getting it in chunks.
Yeah, I see. So you couldn't necessarily do it on the read. So you'd have to put the chunks together between new lines. Or between carriage returns.
Yeah, that's where a string would have been helpful. I wonder if it was going to work. I just didn't give it enough time. Otherwise, we can just put it into a linked list, fill up the linked list, and then go through and print out the linked list. That would definitely work.
System out. Yeah, getting it's going to the cache and everything. So it's like getting
Oh, we have our local thing called linked list. Give me a second on this. I'm specifically using Java's built-in linked list here that can hold strings, but I couldn't just say linked list because our local one's called linked list. So I'm using java.util linked list on strings. And then as I'm reading this stuff in, I'm going to say ll.add input.next. I could read it in bytes at a time. Real quick before I do that, let's see the difference of next versus next line. Let's see if that gives me it one line in the CSV at a time.
Yeah. Looks like that's it.
Yeah.
prediction models based upon the previous data that you had.
Okay. I think we got stuff we can work with here. So we need to split it on commas, right? And then we're getting,
Yeah, you're getting the whole row. It looks like.
so this is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3 is the name of the airport.
Zero is like some sort of ID.
Well, here, we can just test that real quick here. We can say, string array, call this parts, and this guy's going to be equal to input dot next line dot split on commas. And then we'll go ahead and print out parts. What did I say it is? It's bucket 0, 1, 2, 3 is the name of the airport. So bucket 3, so I should get a whole bunch of just airport names from that code. Okay, so that's airport names. What are my next pieces? Because I want the name and I want the city.
Could we just create our Java object to have all the columns in it?
Well, I will, but I don't think we need to have every single column in it.
Oh, that's what I mean, and then just ignore what we don't need.
Oh, I gotcha. So just create it and store it to the database. Our database does have you. This might make our life a little bit easier, at least for the short run. So what we can do here is we can say
What's it storing as an object? Are you choosing one that's
Firebase data types. Let's see what Firebase is allowed to store. Supported data types. Can it hold arrays of strings? I think you can hold arrays of strings. So this is going to be funny. Let's try something here. So we're going to we already have our Firebase database set up, so we're going to say database reference, right? So just like we did before, I'm going to have a database reference, but we're going to have this guy for our airports or something like that. We'll dump it later on. So we're going to say database reference, and this is going to be called airports. Let's just call it ref. And this guy is going to be equal to core.database.getReference, and our reference is going to be just called airports. Okay.
You don't have that data. Oh, you have a database object in your core.
It's in core, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have, so I'm just going to create, we already have credit cards, we already have loyalty programs, now I'm creating one for airports. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this thing and I'm just going to dump it to my database so it's quicker for us to have later. Okay, and so it's going to be called airports. Although it's going to be interesting to see if we get over our Firebase data storage thing, but let's just see what happens. All right, so
Gonna have to license it.
as we read in things, I'm going to go ahead and grab my array of strings here. And then I'm going to say ref.push.
How do you close out from the logcat when it's still running?
You hit the little red X, this guy, the red star, this guy up here. Stop it. Stop it from running. Okay. So .push .set value, and the value we're going to set is parts, because we should be able to store an array of data types that it supports. Okay, so let's see what that does. we should just start seeing our Firebase just start filling up. Although I wonder, don't we have a? Isn't there like a limit for?
Before we have to pay?
Well, no, like how long it takes to. Nothing's going there yet. Like how many times you could hit it per second?
Oh, there's an API call limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, with that, we're probably going to hit the daily limit pretty fast. How many rows do you think?
I've never seen red.
Let's see. There
Red is usually
are.
not a good sign.
There's 55,000 rows in here, so.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah,
55,000 calls.
it hit the API limit real quick, anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and load it into. Well, I have the parts here.
Yeah. So you have your string after all.
Well, I have the individual parts. I'm just going to grab the pieces that I want, and then I'm going to store. What does that data ultimately look like? I do have it downloaded, right? Let's just see what buckets different things are in, so I can grab the pieces I care about. Because really what I want is I want airport name, location, preferably city, state, country, if it has all three of those, and then the short name. You know, like Milwaukee is MKE. Those pieces of information is really what I need. Okay, so the name is at bucket, so this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So name is at bucket 3. So I'm going to mark this somewhere. Okay, so name is at bucket 3. All right, so then I don't care about latitude, longitude. I don't care about elevation.
Actually, I kind of think it was really, can't see if he's going to think of one.
Okay, so I want region. Okay, here we go. We have region, country, and municipality. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I want 8, 9, and 10.
Are you going to be writing all this?
Yeah. Country, region is 9. Just call this city. Yeah, I'm writing it to give you your starting point. Okay. So that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right, so the Milwaukee was under which?
Or no?
N.
N?
Yeah.
So it's,
You want that
oh,
IATA
this is the code I want. So this was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I want the 14 code, right? No? 13. 13 code. 10, 11, 12, 13. All right. Yeah, that's okay. We can handle blanks. We can choose to handle blanks. Basically, we're going to say if it doesn't give us an IATA code, we don't care about it. That fair enough? But we do want name, we want country, we want region, we want city, we want IATA. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a airport object, just like we had credit cards and loyalty programs. All right, so let's go ahead and create that guy.
Okay, question.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys have the same code that we have, but theirs isn't working.
Who's these guys?
Yes.
They probably don't have the same code.
We've all looked at it and it looks like we
It goes to the
And what's the error?
Huh?
Mine literally did so.
Print out the error in the code. So if you look at in my thread here, inside that thing, print out e.toString. When you catch the exception, instead of just saying huh there, print out what the actual error is. It'll tell you what's going wrong. All right, so here's my airport.
Wait, you need a new class?
Yeah, because I'm going to store airports. So I'm going to have a public string country, public string, I'm going to call it region, since some places the state might not be the generic way of calling it, and then public string city, I think everybody calls them cities, and then public string IATA. Let's just call it airport code. All right, so those are our 4 pieces of information. So we'll go ahead and make our constructor here for airport. That'll take in a string country, a string region, a string city, and a string airport code. We'll say this dot country is equal to country. This dot region is equal to region. This dot city is equal to city, and this dot airport code is equal to airport code. What was the error message?
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, and we're going to say this guy implements. As soon as you have it, yell it out.
Okay.
Increments serializable, implements serializable. Okay.
We're implementing that because we're going to be talking to a database.
We're going to be storing this to the database. And then I do need to give it my airport no argument constructor for serializable to work. All right, so that's what an airport is. Now let me go ahead and grab my, go back in here. We have our parts. I just want to check something real quick. We're going to say system.out.println. Parts.length. I want to make sure that it gets me empty strings between those commas instead of nothingness. So I want my parts to always be the same length, ideally. That way I can say if, actually sounds really weird. Don't go back and listen to that part of the, I want there to be, I don't know how many was it, 15, 18, 20 parts, whatever it was. Yeah, elements. That's better. I would be less in trouble. All right, so I want them all to be the same, as opposed to when you have a whole bunch of blank things, if this doesn't give me the thing. So let's see what this guy tells me. Let me open up logcat. Hopefully we have the same number printed out a bunch of times. If we don't, we will still deal with it. Oh, I'm in the error thing. The same. Oh. All right, so we need to, a lot of them are the same. Oh, I need to stop it, not just keep dumping them. So we should be able to do this. So anything that has an IATA code, so really we only want IATA codes, right? All the airports that have IATA codes. So therefore, the ideal, so this is 0, well, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We want all the ones that have 18. Because that probably means they have an IATA code. They also have, because I think that anything with an IATA code probably has all the other ones filled in, is my guess.
We have a whole bunch of that aren't in Wikipedia, because that's one of the field blanks at the end.
Say this again.
That
Oh, yeah.
Wikipedia. First 15. Because I think first 15 will get us to column O.
So it has at least 15, and then we'll just grab the first. I think that might work. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14. So
So if there's an IATA code, you fly to it. If there's not an IATA code, you're probably never getting there on any sort of airline.
right. Yeah, and that's okay for us because the site that I'm going to use for the homework assignment requires IATA codes.
Okay.
All right, so parts, if parts.length is greater than or equal to, we said 14?
Yep.
Then we can go ahead and create objects out of this. So just for the sake of argument here, let me teach my airports how to display themselves. Public void display, and we'll have it do a system.out .println, give it a couple of asterisks, and then we'll say this dot country concatenated with this dot what region concatenated with this dot city concatenated with this dot airport code. All right, so anytime we can create an airport object, we'll then ask that airport object to display itself. So let's make sure this gets us into that wheelhouse. So we'll go ahead and say airport temp inside here. If parts is greater than or equal to 14, we'll say temp is equal to new airport, and we need to pass this guy 4 pieces of information. Specifically, we want 3, 8. Oh, I have 5 pieces of information. This is 5 pieces of information, but I only printed out 4, right? Country, region, city, what am I missing? Oh, name, airport name. All right, so we want to grab those 5 pieces of information, which are in buckets 3, 8, 9, 10, 13. Parts at bucket 3, parts at bucket 8, parts at bucket 9, 10, 13. Parts. All right, so that should create our airport. And then we'll say temp.display. So this should only give us good airports, theoretically. All right. So we're effectively cleaning our data. So really, actually, what we're doing here is kind of data analytics type of thing without using specified data analytics tools. So we're grabbing our own data. We are cleaning the data ourselves, sanitizing it is what it's usually called, so that we get the outliers out of there, and then we're only getting the ones where we can actually build our airport objects from this. So let's see what this dude looks like.
I missed the part where you declared temp. Is temp an instance of airport?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's right there. Sorry.
Okay, so this looks like we're doing okay, right? So we have the, here's the city. Oh, actually, I'm not printing out the name, but I'm pretty confident the name's getting in there. So this is the state, right, country, region, city, name, although this guy has nothing, right? Yeah, see, this can't be right. Moscow airport didn't have.
Moscow has more than one airport.
Yeah, so MOS is probably the global airport name. Like for when you do searches and it says all area airports. Huh, there's a Moscow.
Moscow, Idaho.
It's a whole bunch of Moscows is what it comes down to.
They don't speak Russian there.
What was this point?
Well, maybe this is okay the first time. So we'll create that guy. It seems to be creating him just fine. But then we'll ask the question.
Can I see your airport constructor? Mine is different than yours, and I'd like to see what I missed.
I took 5 things in. I added name to the front of it.
Country, region, city, airport code.
You have your empty constructor?
I do have my empty constructor. I have 4 for sure.
Your
So
public stream needs a name.
public street.
Like all of those, yeah.
So I'm going to say I'm not happy with it unless I have an IATA code. I think the other 4 things we'd get. I think every airport has a name, a region, blah, blah, blah. So then what I'm going to say here is if
Which one am I missing?
temp dot
No, I have 4.
airport code dot length
Country,
is
region,
greater than 0,
INTA, city.
we'll say temp dot display.
Thank you.
Let's see if this only shows us ones with that information in it. And then while I'm at it, we'll update this guy to give me the name. This dot name concatenated with
A really obvious, easy version of each.
like this.
Nevertheless, story of my coding life.
Okay, so now I should only get the ones that have, yeah. And then we can throw them in a linked list. Notice this very first one though has,
The row 1.
yeah.
Sweet airport.
All right, so that's looking pretty decent. Oh man, we got some of those crazy characters, like these Swedish airports. What's it called? An umlaut? Yeah. We'll see if Firebase knows how to store those.
Can you go to your network thread, what your linked list is?
I'm not even using it yet, but I'm going to be using it. I'm about to change it.
Okay, I'll go back time and change it.
Okay, so I'm going to be making a linked list of airports now.
Not creating our own.
I'm in network thread. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make a linked list capable of holding a bunch of airports. Anytime I have a real guy here, I'll go ahead and say ll.add temp. So I'll add him to the airport.
Thing anymore?
Who?
We don't need to do the other thing anymore with the.
Create our own node class and make our own linked list basically of airport objects.
Well, no, because now we can use this guy.
Okay.
I mean, we've gone through the process of writing linked lists, right?
Yes.
So now we can use the built-in one.
That's not what I said.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
What were you talking about? Like writing to the database?
Okay, we're not displaying it anymore.
Yeah, right now I'm just adding. So here, let me walk you through this and say what I'm doing right now. Okay, let's do this. So I'm doing my same URL code stuff, right? Grabbing this gigantic CSV. Then I've given myself a nice storage container for holding a whole bunch of airport objects. I'm not even using this database reference thing yet. I will soon, but I'm not using that right now. Okay? I'm going ahead and giving myself a blank airport so I can build new airports inside that variable. Now, as I go through the CSV, I'm going to take the line I'm currently looking at and split it apart into an array of strings based on commas. That's going to give me a bunch of strings. Now, only if I got at least 14 strings do I care about it, because that kind of goes back to this guy here where there's a lot of like missing data, a lot of things that are missing. And really the first 14 are the ones I only care about 5 of them. But the last thing I care about is inside the first 14. So as long as it has at least 14 things, I can assume that I have those first 14. It's not 100% safe, but that's my first pass at sanitizing the data. Okay? So that's what I'm saying here. So I'm only going to pay attention to this stuff at all if I have at least 14 fields. Then I'm going to go ahead and build my airport with the 5 pieces of information that I care about. Then I'm going to ask about the airport code length, because really, from a travel hacking perspective, I care about the airport code more than any of the other things, especially for the assignment, which is going to require you to have that airport code. Okay? So I care about that airport code a lot more. So I'm going to make sure I have an airport code. So as long as my airport code is greater than 0, its length is greater than 0, I'll go ahead and add it to my linked list. So in the end here, after I've gone through this entire while loop, I should have a linked list with a bunch of crap in it. Okay? Specifically, ll.size will be the number of airports. Let's just give it a shot here, just see how long it takes to run. We'll just let it run to its completion. And hopefully it doesn't take too terribly long, because we're not out. When you output stuff, things go a lot slower.
So with the built-in Java class, if we hadn't changed the scope by creating our own, could you just call linked list?
Somebody time this?
Timing?
Yeah, how long is this taking?
3 seconds so far.
3? Way more than 3 seconds. All right, that actually wasn't bad. That was like 30 seconds.
Less than 30 seconds.
No, 24 seconds, bruh.
Which is less than 30.
34 seconds, bruh. Bruh.
Which is less than 30, which is what I said.
I said 34.
Less than 34 then. You said 24.
Not after I realized I was going to lose the argument, then I said it 34. Okay, so we have 9,266 of these guys. So now we want to write those to the database, but I need to write them to the database with pauses in between, because I don't think I can do a batch rate. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so that error you were talking about, spit it out whenever we did it.
Yeah.
It's saying java.io exception, clear text HTTP traffic to ourairports.com not permitted. So does that have something to do with the network?
Yes.
Java security error.
Yeah.
It doesn't like the non-SSL traffic. So one time word comes in, your server's marking about this too.
So
Hold on. Do this.
No, I'm just kidding.
Try this. Try network security.
Basically, we have to tell Java it's okay that we're about to get hacked. Let us be hacked, Java. They have it, HTTPS.
Well, you're hitting the same thing as we're hitting, right?
I can show you.
I mean,
All it
you,
has to do with the version of the JDK
It's
on
back to
his
the
machine.
try test.
you're using this exact HTTP thing, right?
Yeah. So it's the exact same thing. It's just saying clear text HTTP traffic. Where it's not permitted.
I just can't even get it here.
Well, my program
Literally
is,
nothing.
my program is still
interesting.
running, but it didn't do the thing that we were just trying to do.
Because I had it spit out when it catch.
Yeah.
I mean, I can Google that error. I was just curious if you know off the top of your head.
Well, I'm thinking you're going to need to put that security setting in there, but
Okay.
are any of you on PCs having this working?
Yes.
And it works just fine?
Well, whatever that last thing you wanted us to do isn't working.
Well, but you're not getting his error. You're getting data. It's just...
I ran it before and it was working.
Okay. Let me look real quick. I need to do like a batch write to Firebase. Transactions and write batches. What did it come back with?
No, just
John
kidding.
told me to run it under the faucet.
Oh, from earlier.
Clear text traffic.
So my whole goal here is I just want all this stuff to dump into our database. Okay, so a transaction or batch can write to a maximum of 500 documents. All right, let's look at this here. Oh, I could put all these into an array of those guys. Then it would store it just once. I would only need to do one write. And it would actually label them 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is good enough for me. All right, that's what I'm gonna do. So ll.size is the number of things. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna give myself an airport array called the airports. Actually, let me check something here real quick. I can create an array. So good. Airport array, the airports is equal to ll.toArray. So I'll ask my linked list to convert itself to an array. What is this guy? So now I have an array with 9,266 elements in it. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, I created my reference up here, but I'm not going to do a push because I want to set at that reference for all my airports. So I can say world underscore airport, something like that. I'm going to set it to this array, which is going to be 0, this guy, 1, this guy, 2, this guy. So I should be able to say ref.setValue the airports. Single write, lots of data. Okay. Let's see how that guy does, because this ran for exactly 34 seconds, right? Oh, we just went past 24. Totally. Oh, class exception. Oh, it doesn't turn it into an airport array? So, what do I have? Hopefully it didn't try to do anything here, right? This little guy right here, it didn't do what I wanted it to do, so I'm gonna have to build my actual array myself. Oh, to array. This guy returns an array type. That's a really weird way of doing it. All right, we're just going to do this. New airport array of size ll.size. And then we're going to say for int I is equal to 0, I is less than the airports.length, I plus plus. We'll say the airports at bucket I is equal to ll.get from bucket I. That will fill up my airports. So rather than letting the linked list convert itself into an array, which it didn't like, I said, I'm going to build my own manual array that happens to be the same size as my linked list holds. Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to fill up my array with all the elements for my linked list. And then I'm going to write that array to the database. I got to waste another 34 seconds of my life now. In fact, that time seemed like it was 35 or 36 seconds, really. Oh, use lists instead? Oh, I already had a list.
Break time.
No, it's gonna. I just did too much. We're fine. We're gonna be on break in a second. We don't need any of this. All that crap we just wrote. It said you don't need an array. Just write the list.
Wait, what you just said is to LL.
Yeah, it says it doesn't support arrays. Give us a list. And a linked list is a list, so this should work. Now I got another 35 seconds of my life. It doesn't support arrays. What the crap is that? Hold on, this page. What does this page say? This page says, where's my array? All right, the guy claims he's done. World airports. Well, it's got a bunch of crap in there. It's only got 9,000 some odd things. Can't even click on it.
Yeah.
That's all it is the word.
Oh, it's totally awesome. Did you see that? Man. Man. Look how exciting that is. Can't even render. Like, oh, look at that. Ha, ha, ha. There's an airport. That guy doesn't have a city?
It's got escaped.
Yeah, it's okay. I can deal with the escape stuff. How do you not have a city? It's Cooktown Airport. It's not, they don't have cities there. That's pretty funny. All right, so let's take a 20-second break. All right, so we have our database of airport stuff now. We need to clean this a little bit, but we can clean that real quick after break. That's an easy enough thing to do. And then we'll go to the next thing.